Ahora es el turno de Tom Hootman. Tom es High Performance Building Advisor, certificado LEED y WELL, magíster de arquitectura y licenciado en ciencias de ingeniería arquitectónica. Es un líder activo de la industria del diseño de edificios y comunidades sustentables, siendo una de sus pasiones y especialidades el diseño de edificios y comunidades de energía cero. En sus proyectos tiene como objetivo alcanzar el más alto nivel de calidad ambiental, confort y bienestar con la menor huella ambiental posible. En su charla, Tom responderá al interrogante: ¿de qué manera mi edificio afecta a mis empleados? Démosle la bienvenida a Tom con un fuerte aplauso.
Hola, it's great to be here in Bogotá. First time visiting from the States. Beautiful place. Excited to be part of this forum. WORKTECH, talking about the future of the workplace. My pictures. Right. We're going to have a different dimension of this discussion about how to make people more productive, how to make our workplace or offices more high performance. We're going to talk about a pretty simple question: how does my building affect my employees? That's the context. I'm going to start with this quote from it's an architecture firm that does a lot of work in the kind of public domain, a lot of pro bono work. And they say architecture is never neutral. It either heals or it hurts. So think about that for a moment. And if you're involved in making any decision about the space you work in or your clients, those decisions are not neutral. They can be made to improve the health of those occupants, or you can ignore it, and maybe you have a really bad side effect and can actually kind of poorly impact health. A more blunt example of this is a fairly recent Newsweek cover. Your office is killing you. It's a more blatant way of thinking of this issue. The way I like to think of it is, as designers of the workplace and our built environment, it's really a great opportunity. It's actually kind of an obligation to think about design as a tool to really unlock human potential. So how do we go from being something that can be a detriment to something truly enabling the human occupant? Right, because we spend 90% of our time indoors, so only 10% of our time is outdoors. So the built environment is so impactful to our health and happiness and wellness. Our buildings are an interface of health, right? All these things come together. Air quality, our thermal comfort, environment, the lighting, even our access to fitness and food, hydration and water. How the odor, smells, sounds, all those aspects come together in buildings that impact our health. I'm going to use the WELL building framework. It's I'll talk about it a little bit, but use this framework just to give you another tool to talk about how to really dive into this idea of designing to enable human potential, to unlock that human potential. And WELL building standard has 7 key concepts. So you'll see like air, water, nourishment, light, fitness, comfort, mind. Those kind of mirror I talked about in the built environment, all those things that we're interfacing with when we go inside of a building. And just a quick overview about WELL building standard. It's relatively new, and it is a certification, a building certification. It's focused solely on human health, right? So it is, in that way, it is very different than most of the things you see. So if you're familiar with LEED, LEED is pretty holistic. It's kind of environmentally based rating system. WELL is not about energy conservation or saving water. It's all about human impact. It is a rating system, so it has similarities to LEED. You'll see there's over 100 features or credits, and they're arranged in these 7 concepts that I outlined in the slide before. And there's 3 levels of certifications. There's silver, gold, and platinum. And the certification process, if you've gone through LEED, it's a little similar, but there's a twist. You design the building to meet the requirements, and you document it, you send that in, it gets reviewed, and then the twist is there's a performance verification. So there's actually a part of your certification fee goes through an independent WELL assessor that comes and actually does air tests, water quality tests, spot checks, all the features that you've installed. So it's a very rigorous performance-based and actually standard. And then you get your certification, and it has to be recertified every year. So that's a little bit different too from it. So it has to be on, you have to maintain those features in the building to maintain your WELL certification. And of those 7 features, I'm going to talk, there's 100 things to this, but I'm going to talk about a few of the things that I think are impactful kind of within the air, comfort, light, and mind categories within WELL. So starting with air. So, air starts out as, outdoor air coming from our atmosphere. And there's the interface of the building, comes in through windows or HVAC system. Then it becomes indoor air, and that's the air we breathe, right? So there's this whole pathway of air, and it's important to understand that pathway and how that impacts quality. So starting with outside air, just looking at what might be introduced into air, the outdoor air contaminants, whether it's someone smoking by an intake vent or an open window, pollen, or CO or CO2 or different organic gases, particulate matter, are all out there. It's an image I found in Bogotá that kind of highlights, every city has issues, right, with outdoor air quality. And it's an important piece of having a healthy building. Particulate matter is really one of the big problems, right, with all vehicles and traffic, and can lead to a whole number of health issues such as asthma, heart disease, respiratory disease. Another issue that is common related to emissions of vehicles is the creation of ozone that also leads to respiratory disease and asthma. So on the solution side of this, right, so filtration is a key part of taking care of outside air that's coming into your building. And this is just a chart here to show you how effective different kind of filtration ratings are in kind of cutting those pollutants out of your building air. And you can see that most filters are actually particulate or biological filters, right? So they're going to take out the pollen, they're going to take out the particulate matter that's coming out of the car emissions. But when VOCs or ozone or other inorganic gases are also coming in, those filters are, essentially, those are just gases that are part of the airstream. It's not filtered out. So that, WELL standard is advocating for the addition of carbon filters. So activated carbon filters that can actually absorb those pollutants out of the airstream. So this is another line of defense to take care of that air quality coming into the building. So once the air comes into the building, distributed to the HVAC system, then we have a host of indoor pollutants that might be coming in. The carpet we put in, the paint in, have VOCs in it that are air pollutants. Your employees come in with colds and are sneezing and coughing, and viruses are spread to the air. Inorganic gases such as CO or the CO2, which I'm going to talk about. We bring CO2 in as occupants, and maybe particulate matter if there's combustion. I'm going to focus on carbon dioxide. It's a natural part of life, right? We breathe in oxygen, exhale carbon dioxide. But when you get high concentrations of CO2, it starts to impair judgment and provide headaches. And also, if you have high concentrations of CO2, it means you probably have high concentrations of VOCs or anything else that's still in the building. It's meaning you're not getting enough outside air, clean outside air in the building. I'm going to highlight a study that's fairly recent that Harvard did that was funded by United Technologies that I think is really impactful and I think really eye-opening of how dramatic air quality issue is to the productivity and health of the workers. And they did it was kind of like a double-blind study in kind of a lab workspace where people came to work in the space. They didn't know what was being studied, and over many days they changed the air quality to what they would say conventional CO2, kind of air changes, so which is about 950, a little under 1,000 parts per million CO2. Pretty typical space. If you go in with CO2 reading, you'll see that all the time. And then they doubled the filtration rate and tried to target about 600 parts per million. So it's a pretty dramatic reduction in just the CO2 levels. And then at the end of each day, these workers would take a cognitive function exam. It's a computer, it's kind of like a game, like SimCity, and it tests a lot of strategy and thinking skills. And some of the highlights, information usage was almost 300% improved on the days where you had the the double ventilation rate versus the conventional rate. Use of strategies, again, almost 300% improved scores. I mean, these are dramatic increases in cognitive function and ability just based on the air quality in the building. Very impactful. So a couple solutions around that. It talks about bringing air in and proper filtration. We talked about low VOCs in the building. But delivering with WORKTECH, which is a dedicated outside air unit, is a really effective way. You bring in 100% outside air that's filtered, and if you deliver it with displacement ventilation, so the beauty of that is the ventilation air comes in low versus from above, and it stratifies naturally. As it heats up, warm air will rise. As it heats up, it removes all the pollutants. So if your neighbor has a pool, that cold is brought up and now remixed into the air. It's just turned out exhausted. These are all part of the WELL building standard. Very effective at delivering the best air quality. And you can add this to natural ventilation. So it's called mixed mode, and you can kind of link when the mechanical ventilation comes on versus when the window's open. But it is important to have some kind of sensor, the weather station. It's understanding the temperature outside and any kind of air pollutants, because you don't want to necessarily open that window if you've got a very poor air quality, outdoor air quality day. Okay, moving to light. So here's the human eye, and we all know about rosin cones, but very recently we've discovered these cells called ganglion cells, and they have nothing to do with creating images, so they're not about vision really. And so if you look at, this is the spectrum of visible light, and you can see the blue cone, green cone, and red cone. That's the wavelength of light that those cones are sensitive to, and it gives you vision. That ganglion cells fits there between the blue and the green. And that's where it's sensitive, those cells are sensitive to that particular wavelength of light, kind of under that curve. And those cells that we found that they're linked to regulating our circadian rhythm. So our sleep patterns, day and night sleep patterns, and it's triggered by daylight primarily, right? So daylight that is really rich, and I'll show you in that blue-green light spectrum, and that suppresses our melatonin, which is kind of the hormone that makes us sleepy. And the proper suppression of that earlier in the day, midday, then creates the proper hormone cycle in our body, helps us sleep better, improves our immune system. It's very tied to health. What happens, when we go into buildings that are not daylit, you might, so you can see put on a chart here, daylight, blue sky, and you can see how it peaks right at the same peak as the ganglion cell sensitivity. That cell is just triggered around daylight, to have our body understand light and day and really sleep. We go into an environment that doesn't have daylight and has maybe conventional LED lighting. You can see where the intensity of lighting is completely absent, really, in that spectrum, or very low. So changing LED technology, the color temperature of cool white LED or other technologies, then reshifts that light spectrum. So if you don't have access to daylight, this is an important way of keeping your body sort of in tune with that circadian rhythm. Some studies that show the benefit of that. Just a simple test of people that work by a window versus people that did not work by a window. Those people in the study that were office by a window slept 46 minutes per night more on average. That's quite a bit of extra sleep. How WELL interprets this, and the way we actually kind of designed for this, is they've created a new metric called equivalent melanotic lux. So, we're familiar with lux, which is the amount of light that falls, over our work plane. This is measured on your eye, but it's normalized just for the amount of light that falls into that curve of the ganglion cell sensitivity, that blue light. So even if you have 200 lux, if it's all kind of yellow, red light, you're not getting that proper dose of the light. And they ask for 4 hours a day, kind of in the morning period. So moving to comfort. So comfort in the WELL building standard also includes ergonomic comfort, acoustic comfort, olfactory comfort. We're going to talk about thermal comfort. So thermal conditions, this is a pretty recent study, can reduce, poor conditions can reduce human efficiency such as thinking, performing arithmetic, reading, can all be reduced by 5 to 50%. So it is an important marker in productivity and health in the workplace. And in the US, a pretty well-known standard, ASHRAE standard 55 is the standard around thermal comfort. And what that really, simply what that asks us to do is to design a space that at least 80% of the occupants are going to find it thermal comfort in a satisfactory zone, right? Their thinking is that everyone's different, and this is very true. You're not going to satisfy 100% of the people. And that was the target that they felt was the satisfactory design. So it turns out, this is a study that was done by a university in California, and they went to over 200 buildings in Canada, US, and Finland, and they surveyed all the occupants in these over 200 buildings, and only 11% of the buildings had occupants that met that 80% or better satisfaction with thermal comfort. That's a failing grade, right, in office spaces, and it's probably replicated around the world. So getting better thermal comfort starts with an understanding of like how our bodies actually kind of thermal regulate, how we maintain our core temperature. And this little pie chart says that the radiant exchange, which is the exchange we have with the sun, so it's everyone's very familiar with that radiant exchange, is the most powerful and useful way to regulate our temperature. But our buildings are designed around this convective transfer mostly, right? So it's using air, the temperature of the air, to run past you to maintain your temperature. So that can be effective, but we're really missing the way the body wants to thermoregulate. And in well-building standard, there's a whole credit built around radiant comfort, right? So radiant surfaces, radiant flooring, heating and cooling are far more effective at providing that kind of level of comfort. So some other really, I think, creative strategies. We talked about, they call it free address in well-building standard, but this idea that you don't have an assigned seat, you decide where you work. So later on that Wells introducing is this thermal gradient idea that, so if you have an office space and people can choose where to work, you can vary the temperature between different zones and people can gravitate to their comfort zone. So that changes the dynamic really radically, right? So everyone's not stuck into like kind of the same temperature, air temperature, or the same kind of space. It creates a diversity people can find places they're very happy in. But then the final touch is providing a piece of personal comfort. This is, I think, a very important trend. Getting back to that, how do you really make more people happy and comfortable in their environment? You think about cars that every occupant in the car can adjust their airflow and temperature. So this is an example of what's called a hyper chair. It was actually designed by an HVAC engineer, and it has a fan that can cool you, and it has a heated seat so it can heat you. And you can tune it to just so you're just perfectly comfortable in your space. So the last piece I'm going to talk about is mind. And within the mind category as well, biophilia, there's several features that have biophilia threaded into it. So biophilia, if you're not familiar with it, we have an innate connection to nature. So biophilia is a love of nature. And biophilia is a design strategy that leverages that connection we have, that need we have for nature, and tries to recreate it and bring it back into our buildings. So it can be very literal, like actually bringing nature into the building, like the New York Times building here in Manhattan. But it can be done in more subtle and interesting ways as well. So it's a very powerful tool. A little about the value of that, just a view of nature. That's one of the most common ways to bring biophilia into a building is having a view to landscape, and some trees or a park, in this case some vines and a courtyard. And so a recent study, Terrapin Bright Green, one of the best kind of groups studying this, estimates that it can save employees or businesses over $2,000 US a year per employee, just by providing views through a window, right? That kind of connection to nature. Another study, Japan is also extremely interested in doing a lot of research, culturally very attuned to this idea of humans being more connected to nature. And they studied students' performance and their kind of biometrics after taking a walk in an urban environment versus a walk in a park in a natural environment, and dramatically increased kind of biometrics after just a 30-minute walk out in a park. Like, so very impactful, right? So if you're interested in using biophilia, thankfully the folks at Terrapin Bright Green have it free online. I use this quite a bit, and I recommend it to architects we work with too. There's 14 patterns of biophilic design. gives you some good insights. So it's really good strategies to use. And then to sell, to understand the business case, they also have a companion for the economics of viability that goes into some studies that they've done. So the last piece then is kind of the business case, right? So we talk about how impactful all these aspects of the indoor environment can be. And so this is the kind of these are US dollars, but the percentages, are going to be pretty typical. The energy efficiency is just a small piece of the puzzle here, and then the rent that you pay. What's really impactful is for a business is the cost of the people in town, right? It's a 100 to 1 kind of ratio. That's the big lever we have if you're going to make a business case about what's putting into the office space that's going to really bring returns and to help businesses take it to the next level. I think there are many, many value propositions around this. These are just some of them. We talked a lot about productivity, the cognitive performance related to the air quality. We talked about creativity, innovation. This goes hand in hand with all those ideas of the new workplace as well, because it can foster more engagement with employees. We can kind of create a culture around a people-centered place to work that's focused on their health and well-being. So I think so adding this well-building kind of framework is a really important tool. So I'm finishing just a minute or so early. I think we probably have time for a few questions, but yeah, thank you for your attention.
Hay espacio para preguntas a Tom. Más o menos 10 segundos o 20 segundos. ¿Hay preguntas? Thank you very much.